For the latest in strategic affairs, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the bell icon for updates.
Hello and welcome to this special program on Strat News Global. I'm Nitin Gokhale. I'm bringing you some updates from the evacuation process of the Indian embassy staff from Kabul and how it was accomplished by the Indian Air Force planes which were specially flown into Kabul, the transport planes, the C-17 Hercules Globemaster, which started flying into Kabul on Monday morning and then brought the Indians back in two sorties. One came back on Monday, and one is on its way from Jamnagar, having landed back from Kabul, coming into India. Now, the sequence of events is very interesting. C-17, this is of course a US Air Force C-17. You saw this chaotic scenes from the Kabul airport yesterday on Monday, when many Afghans were trying to get on to the plane that was used and operated by the US Air Force. But this is how the Indian mission actually unfolded. On 15th August, that is Sunday, when the situation started deteriorating, India decided that at night on 15th August, early morning of 16th August, two C-17 Hercules planes of the Indian Air Force were sent to Kabul. They were to land there one after the other because the military section of the Kabul airport was still under the American control, and therefore it was found to be safe for the Indian Air Force planes to land there. So around 7 a.m., the first plane landed on Monday, that is yesterday, and it was immediately given a parking slot. The understanding was that Indian mission staffers and whoever had approached the Indian embassy there in Kabul would be boarded on the flight that will take off, and then the next lot of the Indians would be brought onto the second plane, which was still hovering around in air. But only 45 Indians managed to reach the airport on Monday, given the chaotic situation on the roads in Kabul and also the militia which was turning people back. So it was decided by the authorities that whoever could board the first plane would be brought back. Accordingly, the first C-17 came back to Delhi around noon yesterday with only 45 Indians who managed to reach the airport or yesterday morning, on Monday morning. So the second aircraft after the first took off landed in Kabul, but then it was impossible for the Indian mission staffers to come back to come to the airport, because the armed militia members were roaming the streets and they were trying to check who's going to the airport, trying to stop people. So the Indian convoy was turned back by the militia, and I think it was decided, it was thought to be prudent that they should go back to the safety of the embassy, although the embassy was also increasingly coming under threat. In the meantime, at the airport, the Americans were getting impatient. They said they have very limited parking slots. So the Indian Air Force plane was asked to leave. So the Air Force and the other authorities in India decided that instead of coming back all the way to India via Iran, because Pakistan airspace is not allowed to be used by Indian Air Force planes, so India decided to use one of its long-standing base in Tajikistan at Aini, which is north of Kabul. The C-17 was shifted there. In the meantime, the Indians and the Indian staffers of the embassy went back to the embassy, although the threat was increasing, as I said. So there, the well-coordinated, well-executed plans began to unroll. It was unveiled. It was decided that India will coordinate with the US forces, which are now about 7,000 US soldiers from the 82nd Airborne Division, are in Kabul, guarding vital embassy building of the United States and the airport. And as you can see, the at midnight, all these 140 Indians who were remaining were brought to the airport. They came to the airport in a convoy, and then finally, early this morning, they boarded the C-17. Not this one. This is the U.S. plane which took off for Qatar, where most Afghanis have gone there in that C-17. Apparently, 800 people were evacuated. You saw those people hanging on to the wings of the C-17 of the U.S. Air Force. That footage has gone viral across the board. This one, as you can see. But on the Indian plane, about 140 Indians, which included Indian ambassador to Kabul or to Afghanistan, Rudrendra Tandon, and other mission staffers. This is the C-17 Hercules aircraft. It's a file footage. It's not the Afghanistan footage. But just to give you an idea of how big this aircraft is, it can carry tanks. It can carry the armored personnel vehicles, carriers. But it also can carry more than about 250 people in one go in its hold, both the luggage hold as well as in the main body of the plane. So this plane yesterday came with 45 people only, but today more than 140 people have come back, including Indian ambassador. So the plane took off at about 9 a.m. India time from Kabul this morning, after having come from Aini in Tajikistan, which is the Indian Air Force run base in Tajikistan. And then as the coordination began between other embassies and also with the militias, at midnight last night, the Indian staffers and others were brought to the airport. Indian and US security personnel provided the security. They moved to the airport, stayed at the airport the rest of the night, and early this morning, they boarded the second C-17 aircraft after it landed in Kabul from Aini. And now they are back in India. The plane, as we speak, is coming to Delhi or must be about to land in Delhi after having landed in Jamnagar, because the plane, remember, came all the way from Kabul. It went west to Iran, and from Iran via the normal route, normal airspace, avoiding the Pakistani airspace, came to Jamnagar, which is in western Indian state of Gujarat. It landed there, and from there, this plane is coming back to Delhi. That's the update. It was a very tricky operation, simply because the Kabul airport is not fully under the control of any of the government forces. The government forces, as you know, have melted away because of the Taliban onslaught, and the Americans are now controlling the military part of the Kabul airport. That's where India coordinated with the US forces and has managed to get back its diplomatic staff, its ITBP personnel who were guarding the embassy compound, and other vital staffers. Apart from, I'm told, 4 journalists who were reporting, Indian journalists who had gone from Delhi to report from Kabul, are also or were also on board the C-17. They're also come back, and it seems that there are more Indians, of course, stranded in the what you call in Kabul and other parts of the country, which is now taken over by Taliban. How they will come back, what will happen, is something that we'll know in the future. But if this operation is any indication, then India has pulled off this operation very well. But the other things, we are still not very clear. There are comments from other people. Some are asking what has happened to Amrullah, the vice president, and the son of Ahmed Shah Masood, who have gone to Panjshir. Well, this is a very fluid situation. It's very difficult to give you any updates from there. What I wanted to do in this this segment of the update is to tell you how the Indian Air Force and the Indian government have managed to do this well-coordinated operation. And of course, what happens is the in the coming days, we will have more and more clarity on what happens to other Indians who are working elsewhere in other parts of Afghanistan. This question again, Sunil Kumar Parija, what kind of security scenario we face all over border after Taliban? Well, there will be some blowback in Kashmir in times to come, but I think India is prepared to face that kind of blowback. Some of these terrorists coming into Kashmir probably as freelancers or at the urging of Pakistan, which now is very gleeful about what they have achieved in Afghanistan. But that is all in the future. For the moment, India has managed to, as I said, bring back all the essential staffers and the entire embassy and embassy staffers from Kabul, which is great because it can be very tricky given that the situation is so uncertain in Kabul. Nobody knows who's really in charge. And this is how the fall of Kabul was not anticipated by anybody. The speed with which Kabul fell, or the control of Afghanistan, has gone into the hands of Taliban, which really means it's gone into the hands of uh, the Pakistanis. But there are many questions, and this is what I think this somebody has very aptly commented. Indian tides, that the Afghan forces were not paid on time. They didn't have air support, and therefore they melted away or collapsed in the face of the Taliban onslaught. Some of them, remember, also got co-opted by the Taliban, and therefore, again, the tribal loyalties came into play as far as the Afghan politics is concerned, where simply big formations, brigades, divisions just joined the Taliban instead of fighting them. So there is a difference between what happened between 1993 and 1996, where there was bloodshed, there was a lot of fighting. This time, the Taliban has adopted a very smart tactic by co-opting, coercing, bribing some of the commanders and then winning them over. I'm going to do another program in the evening at 8 p.m. on Strat News Global and, of course, Bharat Shakti Twitter, where I'll be speaking to a military expert on why the Afghan army collapsed, what are the reasons, what were the factors that led to this speedy and very unexpected collapse. I'm going to talk about all that. For the moment, I'm going to stop here. I just wanted to give you an update that all Indian diplomatic staff is now back in India. They are safe. It was thanks to the well coordinated operation between the Indian Air Force, the Indian diplomatic mission, and the MEA and other segments of the Indian government, which have managed to evacuate all the Indian staff in Kabul for the moment. Whether the embassy will reopen or not is a question that can be answered only with time. But for the moment, let us at least applaud and acknowledge stellar work done by the Indian Air Force, its pilots, and the security personnel in bringing these people back here. Do keep watching, do keep sending your comments and feedback. We will come back with more this evening. Of course, you know that we have a program called The Gist at 7 p.m. And 8 p.m., we are actually doing a special series every day at 8 p.m. from tonight on Afghanistan, the ever-changing situation in Afghanistan. So do join us at that time. We will have very interesting guests, very insightful comments from very knowledgeable guests every evening, both at 7 p.m. as well as 8 p.m. So Strat News Global and BharatShakti.in are your two go-to channels if you want authentic, informative, and latest happenings and events and updates from Afghanistan and about Afghanistan. For the moment, I'm saying goodbye.